Hey, how's it going? Finally, I want to talk about this absolutely ridiculous market we are currently living in when it comes to the automotive industry. What is happening right now is absolutely crazy. Sadly, now we are living in times where everything from a GT 500 Mustang to a basic Mustang to Toyota Corolla, Hyundai Sonata, I don't care what it is. The entire market right now has just inflated itself to ridiculous levels. It's not everyone, and by everyone I mean dealerships, because unfortunately this is not a corporate level decision that these markups happen, but it happens at the dealership level. Not all dealerships are doing insane markups. You know, some dealerships are doing markups, they might be small, which is still wrong in the first place. But there are dealerships you can go and get MSRP for your car, and that's great. It seems like the overwhelming majority of dealerships decided that they want to put on these, tag on these premiums of 5, 10, 15, 20 or more $1,000, depending on the type of vehicle, upcharge, just because the market's high. There's a high demand and there's low volume to meet that demand. It's like, well, that doesn't mean that everyone should raise their prices so where no one can afford a vehicle in the first place. I feel like you're just kind of stepping on your own toes there. To me, I would rather be the dealership selling cars at the normal price and have people keep coming back, because they know they ain't going to get screwed over, rather than trying to, charge everyone an arm and a leg for the same car. But hey, you know what? That's just me. That's just the way I think. Because I'm not a greedy asshat, but hey. Sadly, yeah, this has taken its role onto many dealerships across the nation here. And it's sad. Someone had mentioned in my video about talking about how Pittsburgh views his Bronco was, at the last minute tagged on a $10,000 premium by the dealership. And, someone commented about it, it's not Ford's fault, that it happened. It's because it's in a free market. Well, here's the thing. A free market does not entail or encourage a fair market, okay? There's a difference there. When you have a free market in a predominantly capitalistic society like the United States, what that's going to do is it's going to encourage a greedy market. And if that ain't what happened, then I don't know what did, because that's exactly what did happen. The free market encouraged this hyperinflated market we currently have. And I'm not the one for increased laws and regulations and rules and whatnot. I really don't care for them. But when it comes to protecting a consumer and the hard-earned money that they work for, just to have something, just a basic vehicle, I think it's absolutely wrong that companies can just for no reason, tag on these kind of premiums for a car, especially when it's just a regular commuter car. It's ridiculous. There should be no reason for it. And I know certain countries, from what my understanding, do have type of regulations in place to protect consumers on consumer products. For the most part, the United States does not, I don't think has anything really in place to protect the consumer against price inflation. There's a lot of consumer protection for other things and, other different problems you might encounter, but definitely not when it comes to the money, of course, right? And that's probably one of the most important things when it comes to consumer protection, is protecting the consumer against fraud or, just bad business or a bad product. That's just kind of how that goes. This is what's happening. And people are crazily enough supporting it. People are right now going out and buying new cars and gladly paying the markup on them. People are still flooding the dealerships, putting pre-orders in on vehicles and stuff like there isn't nothing happening. And it's that's crazy to me that people would be doing that right now. I just don't understand the type of insanity that has been created here. I think this is just a prime example of people being cooped up too long because of all what's been happening. And it's just man, I don't know. I can't understand the mentality that has developed here. But it's sad to see. It's sad people is going to be wasting their money on these new vehicles. You know, when it comes to the used vehicle market, it's one thing, but definitely protecting the consumer against new vehicle sales. There should be something in place, because the way it's set up in the United States is there's regulations that does not allow a manufacturer to sell directly to the public, and that's not, you know, a nationwide thing. You know, there are some states that do allow it, which is why Tesla has gotten away with it. You know, they sell directly to the public from Tesla. For the most part, what happens is, the way the law's set up, it has to be a third party that sells the manufacturer's product. So your dealerships, let's say your Ford dealerships, while they're not really owned by Ford, they are still operated and pretty much controlled by Ford. But because of the way the laws are set up, Ford cannot, you know, own that dealership and sell the product directly to the consumer. So that's why you have Jones Ford or whatever. You know, you just don't see Ford Motor Company. You know, you have these private dealerships, and it's just a third-party relation to the manufacturer to sell their product. This is part of the free market mentality, I guess. You know, they feel like if the manufacturer doesn't have complete control over who sells their product, then it's less worry about the manufacturer, you know, creating high-priced products. Everything seems to look good on paper, right? Obviously, in the real world, that doesn't always work. If you're operating a business, your main goal is profit. So you want to maximize profit. And a lot of dealerships will put profit over everything. That is their priority. They don't care how many customers they pee off. They don't care what they do, as long as their profit is as high as it goes. As far as I know, it doesn't matter to Ford what Jones Ford sells their new Mustang for, because Jones Ford already paid Ford for that vehicle, and that's part of their invoicing price, right? So it doesn't matter to the manufacturers what they sell it for. It strictly comes down to the dealerships and the crooked market. And quite honestly, I wouldn't want to be a manufacturer associated with dealerships that are constantly nagging the customer's wallet for money. Now, like I said, I'm not really one for increased rules, regulation, legislation, whatever the hell it is. If it has some control over someone, I'm not really for it, because I'm definitely an advocate for individual freedom, and, you know, laws do not really give individual freedom. They usually do the exact opposite. However, with that said, I feel like there needs to be some way to highly encourage dealerships to not overcharge their products. You know, some type of regulation on the amount over MSRP dealerships are allowed to go might be a good idea, because at the end of the day, it's protecting most people, like you, me, the ones going into the dealerships, you know. And if the dealership operates and works correctly, they shouldn't have to worry about making up their monthly profit and charging 20 grand more for a vehicle. I can just hear people now, well, just take your business elsewhere. What happens if you're in an area where there are few and far dealerships between? What happens when all these dealerships are doing the same thing? You don't win. Okay, so what happens when the market does this hyper-inflate like it has, and every dealership you go to is doing the same thing, because there's nothing saying they can't? You know, I worked and I sold cars for a little while, and I thought it was kind of weird that the dealer processing fee that gets thrown into the end of the sale in Maryland, it's not required by law. But what they do regulate is the amount that they can do. So before, when I was selling cars, the dealer processing fee was only $300. If everyone's doing it, you damn right that your dealership's going to charge it. They're like, well, if everyone else does, just because we can, we will. If we can make money there, we can. And where does that money go? To the dealership. That doesn't go to the bank or whatever. That's money that directly goes to the dealership on top of the sale of the vehicle. Well, in recent times, Maryland has increased the amount that dealers are allowed to charge from $300 to $500. So now you're paying $500 for a new vehicle sale. Well, I mean, any vehicle you buy through a dealership, as their dealer processing fee. Once again, not required by law. The law says they can do it. And that's the thing. Since they allowed them to do it, they put a cap on how much they can do. You know, that's kind of the same thing I would like to see when it comes to the MSRP. Once again, free market, capitalistic society, car companies or corporations. It's just how it works. It's what you're going to deal with. So I just want to make this video and just, just talk about it, give my insight on it, as a consumer, as someone who's worked in the car industry for a little while, albeit it's not like I have too many years in it, but I definitely have enough to understand what happens. And, I just really want to give my insight to this. And I know I'm not the only one upset with the current situation here. But, I still feel like it's good for, this type of information, this type of outlook to be placed on YouTube and stuff where a lot of people can come to it. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to spend your money on these cars. I don't have to spend my money on supporting these dealerships. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't do it, generally, if they're not going to make any profit off it, then they won't. Then maybe they'll change their tune. It's kind of how they always say the old saying when it comes to politics. If you really want to vote for something, you vote with your money, like that's kind of how that goes. And sadly, that's in our society, in America, United States, you have to vote with your money. That's how you make the change when it comes to a consumer-based industry, a capitalistic society. You got to vote with your money. And right now, a smart person should not be buying a new car unless it was absolutely necessary. If your car took a crap on you, you got in an accident or something and you need a new car, that's absolutely one thing. But if you're like, oh wow, yeah, my car is 2 years old, I'm about even or right side up on my loans, time to go trade it in for something new, don't do it. You're really not doing yourself a favor, and you're supporting a very crooked market. What's going to happen is people who are buying cars now, and if they're not buying it as smart as they possibly can, and if they're paying these premiums on these vehicles, what's going to happen is they're going to be very upset in the next couple years when all of the dust settles. Let's say you are buying a loaded SUV and you're paying, let's say, $15,000 over MSRP on a brand like Chevy or something. Depreciation like a rock. You are going to be so upside down the next couple years on your loan unless you're making massive payments. I mean, people are asking for trouble right now. Please do yourself a favor. Don't do it. Just wait. Hold off. It's only a matter of time and things will come back down. And like I said, unless you necessarily need it, don't do it. All right, I think that's enough of me talking for this video. So that will be it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Share with everyone you know. If you want to see more content like this and you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for the next true car enthusiast video.